What's up? We back again, and I got a question. Do you know where you going to? I don't think I remember the rest of the words to that song, but it had a strong message in its own. So here I am again, King A.D.S, your fam, back with you again out here in the Inland Empire where the rays are dusty and dry and hot and warm most of the time, and here to bring some cool saturation to the whole vibe. Shouts to everybody out here in the Inland Empire, Southern California, on here in Cali, and on the West Coast, regionally to everywhere across the whole 50 states to worldwide. Whoever's tuning in and checking me out for the first time or returning, welcome back. If you're returning, welcome in if it's the first time here. And man, today I feel like it's going to be a good one, so let's get into it a little bit here. I want to revisit something, and first off, I want to before I even get into that, I want to give a big birthday shout to, I know it's a little bit late, but I'm trying to be a little bit better with things like this, but big shouts and happy birthday to the Virgos and to all the Libras that are out there. And then we will have the Scorpios coming up pretty soon as well. So just big happy birthday shouts out. I'll try to remember to do this again, as much as I can. But I wanted to get to that first and foremost, because I am a person who does think about more ways to be inclusive and connect with people in an authentic way. And also too, because there's also certain people in my life that I don't see all the time, that sometimes things get a little hazy. I got a lot going on in my brain and a lot going on in days sometimes, and so sometimes I can get a little bit bad with things like that. So I just want to make sure that I extend that kind of love, whether you're someone I know, my family, friends, or just the people that are wonderful that are out there. Just I want to spread those good vibes to you. So if you've got a birthday in this in the fall season, happy birthday to you. Okay, man. So let's, I want to get that off my heart, out to you. I always say off my chest, but it's really from a deeper space. So let's get into it. So in one of the previous videos that I just recently did, I think that the topic of control, or the terminology of control, came up. So bringing ourselves into an interesting space, that when you woke up this morning, some of the thoughts you have or some of the feelings that you were having are not completely your own. Some of the thoughts you may be having painted off of those emotions may not be fully your own. Legitimately speaking, some of them are, but then other things may be coming from an outside influence. And that's kind of like what I want to touch on a little bit, is that terminology, or that phenomena of the thing we call control, right? And in the last one of my last videos, most recent videos, I think that came up, the terminology of control, right? And so it's like, how does one get here? Well, the key is not like, what is it, just because they're most influential or things like that, right? Because they're the most successful, so on and so forth. Well, how does it get there, right? How does it get there to the point where some people have so much influence and so much power, or perceived power, or perception of things, that it's like they can do whatever they want, or they're unstoppable, so on and so forth. Maybe they start taking advantage of the scenario, right, of the abusing, as we see, abusing their power. How they say power, what they say, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So how do we get there? How is it that there's so many of us and few of those types of individuals, and they're in control, or what we think is control? Well, I want to touch on it the best I can. You know what I'm saying? Just add a little bit of vibes to it. That's all I'm here to do. And believe me, this is not stuff that I come up with on my own, as no one does. You know what I mean? We all have to study things to learn things, or experience them too, right? But nevertheless, we're going to have a teacher some way, shape, form, right? So how do tyrants and all these weird, let's just say, strange individuals, and things just go awry, how did they get there? Well, it is sometimes taken by force, but preferably given. And so, even by the force is the influence to have someone bow down and kind of just give up that kind of control of their methods or thinking or things that they'll do. I used to like to call it the song and dance. As I was reading through history, I would notice that a certain group's movements, what they would do is promise people certain things as long as they can take the burden of the heavy lifting, basically, and hard decisions out of the hand of the locals. In a way, it was like, gaslighting people into acquiescing that control, right, to the other person, that responsibility to this other group of people. And basically by coming through and having one set group of people that share ideologies, that's why I call it the song and dance, knowing all the steps and when the next cue is coming, when to dip and all that, all in unison, made it look like it's legitimate, so that way other people will maybe start thinking, oh, I don't know all the steps, maybe I should know the steps because these other people seem to know the steps, but I feel left out now, right? So for those people, it would work rather quickly. Other people, they needed more substance added to it, so you would have underhanded tactics. That's why I would say kind of like gaslighting and stuff, because also deception, deceptive measures, and meddling with things. So like how you've probably heard before about the trickster standing on both sides of the fence looking like each other's opposition, or just like the likeness of the person of whichever side of the fence they're on, but also would be found most of the time as the trickster, causing the problems and then also coming up with the solutions. So in order to build this safety net, feeling, this what do you call it, sense of confidence, right, with the people and stuff like that, or also to turn um, locals against one another, so that way you would have to have somebody to regulate between people that knew each other in the area or familiar with each other in the area. They're kind of put a middleman there, you know what I mean? So then as that influence grows, another person may be able to steer people towards what they're thinking about doing with the time, right? Versus what a person was already thinking about doing with the time, building, creating, doing whatever they're made to do, and maybe in be pulled away from that and swayed into building and working on what another person's aspirations are in the end, ultimately turning that person into some sort of battery or resource. As we know, there was a lot of nasty stuff, slavery, so on and so forth. But nevertheless, yeah, that control, you have to give that control. You always have control of your own choices and what we're going to do. Yes, we know that there's been so much terrible things that people, the extent that people would be willing to go to gain some of those controls. Or like I said, some of it was forced, not like I said, but just saying, like, we all know that some of that stuff was also against people's wills too. And that brings to an interesting terminology, the existentialist, which I'll never forget, that I learned in high school, which was a person that would be willing to use any outside resource to gain whatever advantage that they're after or whatever goal, right, to accomplish that. So the existentialist will use anything, has no religious or moral type of qualms. I would say it's a whole bucket of different issues in there, you know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, that could actually match that character, like the Joker, like I was speaking of in that other video too. Like it would match that kind of character composite, right? And ironically, I'm wearing a Batman shirt right now, so this kind of also fits and everything. But like how we were talking about before, how it's like the Joker just wants to see it all burned down, and feels like if people were all faced with the right type of motivation, that they would just revert to their lower form and turn on one another and eat each other alive. And so, and I always forget of small things when I make these videos. And what I meant to also put in that video was how the writer understood this type of thinking that I'm talking about right now. How outside influences will try to make you acquiesce your control and make you follow through with actions that are not all completely of your own. When all you have the power, which is choice, and the choice to make was with Tiny Lister's character, which I love that so much, that the prisoner on the ferry, when everyone was trapped on the ferry, there's bombs and stuff, and he puts the detonator on the ferry, and everyone's in a commotion, and he's betting on if one of them, feels like the other one will blow them up, he gives them control for the other ship, that one of them will turn on the other to survive. So Tiny Lister's character, even though he's portrayed as the prisoner, right? He's the one that steps up in a humble scenario where he's given his control to the system, and they've totally taken advantage of his life, basically. I don't know if you caught that, but it's exactly what I'm talking about. And then he walks over, grabs the detonator, says, "Give it to me. Give it to me." Right? Yeah, I had to do it with more conviction. Hold up, he says, he walks over, he goes, "Give it to me." And he gets the detonator, and he goes, "I'll show you what you should have did from the beginning." And he walks over to the edge of the ferry, and he throws it in the water. You know what I'm saying? Takes the control back. Takes the control back. And that's what I'm saying, is he chose people and himself as far as choice, knowing the right things, and rested on that, and said he sees through the illusion, sees the trap, and he just takes the detonator instead of becoming a monster or acquiescing to the monster and changing his plans. What he does is say, "Nah, we're all gonna live, we're all gonna get home." You know what I'm saying? We're human beings, and we're gonna do what humans do. We're gonna live, right? We're gonna thrive. So he throws the detonator over. And so, unsuspecting, the person that's in chains, and just like people in life, you go through so much, but you also, even if things are not completely right, you definitely have experience in things that, even if they don't go all right for you, and you may not be able to tell everybody things that work for that part, you can definitely tell them things that won't work for them, and what to stay away from. And you know what to stay away from and won't work, so you get to change your actions and habits and move towards the things that are better serve you for the rest of your life, and generationally down the line for other people in your family, right? So, and people around you as well, so that we push towards that love, the heart space, and that longevity and truth and authenticity, right? So yeah, so that's part of it right there, is that you have to give that control to the tyrant to become the tyrant. But we do have a choice. We can choose to not follow those types of narratives, that negativity, that influence, and we can do what's best for us. But first, we have to get that knowledge, right? And then realize that we're the ones that really have the control, and we can exercise that control by supporting the things and people whose motivation is not solely based upon getting rich, like numbers, image, flash, materials, and just having more. Because after all, once you get it all, what are you gonna do with it? You're gonna hoard it? You're gonna be like the Joker, you want to get it all just to watch it burn? What are we gonna do with it other than move people forward, help other people fish and get free, as it was taught to us, the way it is to go pay that good vibe forward if we want to see it be a place to be in, a better place to live in. You know what I mean? So yeah, but we do have the control. That's the weapon, one of the weapons we have. Also, we could expose, bring things to the light, be very aware, so we can let everybody know that that's not how that goes. It actually goes like this, and here it is. And that will also help set narratives straight. So, but it's all about our choices. What are we gonna choose to eat? You're gonna eat the junk food, or you're gonna eat the home cooked food? Are you gonna go for what's sensible, or are you gonna go for what's fashionable? Or do you need the newest car? Can you get a used car? Does your ego stand out amongst, above your heart? You know what I mean? Does your ego supersede what your mind and heart space is trying to say? I don't know if I even said that right, but I hope that you get the gist of what I was trying to, get at there. But nevertheless, man, that's what this video was. I wanted to revisit this and do it the way that I can, you know what I mean? And if you're here, and all the things that I asked for are free, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I love having new people as well as return people come on through here and check out everything I got going on and spend some time with your bro for a little while, you know what I mean? And just try to extend that vibration out to anyone and everyone. And I just love connecting with you. Like I always say, first and foremost, I'm a music artist and go by the name King A.D.S. And you can check out all my music on my channel here, as well as Bar, Sweat, and Years mixes, all the material that I have with Light Speed, Qatar, my man G-La the Chef with Cosmic Rock Box, have Theta Mob with my man Il Tone. I think I said Bar, Sweat, and Years mixes with miscellaneous artists, some from the fam, some from people that I've networked with online and met that were just amazing and great and motivated. And the whole mission for that is for you guys not to just listen to it and work out to it or whatever, which is also awesome hearing these guys as you're doing your thing, but also to go and check them out. That's what it was all about. It's about a way for the underground grassroots that I come from. That used to happen. We used to have mixes, mixtapes, actual tapes that would turn you on to talent that you otherwise probably wouldn't have heard about. College radio was a lot like that too, but also you might hear some things that you wouldn't expect from people that you were familiar with or that you've heard on the underground before. And so it's nice to be in a position, semi-position, to where I can kind of concoct something like that or be a part of it and help present that, out there and just kind of do my part, move things forward. We move in the line, you know what I'm saying? Because as we said, we have the choice to support the people that we want to support, you know what I'm saying? So instead of we tried some other things, why don't we try something new? You know what I mean? How about trying to support the people who are trying to support you and be out there for your better interests and actually manifest things in the right path of, like, they're trying to be substance, you know what I mean? Like they're all about their craft, they're about that studying, they're about that skill, all those things, and they're authentic with it and not just losing themselves in the wind. They're not lost in the sauce, you know what I'm saying? But all of us will pay the cost to be the boss. I can't, I can't explain how that stuff happens, but it does. But I can't ignore it either when it does. I have to take the opportunity to like realize the weirdness of my creative brain sometimes and go, "Ooh, I'm gonna start rhyming right now, like I'm out of control, bro." But nevertheless, y'all, I love y'all. Like I said, smash the like button, subscribe, like, share. I appreciate either or all. Man, I got nothing but love for y'all. And yeah, man, leading one foot forward on the mission, man. Let me see if there's anything I left out. Nope, that's it, y'all. All right, till the next one. Peace.